Hello everybody, welcome to That's Football. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest transfer news, and it's Arsenal to start off with. Some big transfer stories around them. Also got bits on Liverpool transfer news, Chelsea transfer news and a few other bits, as well as Pep Guardiola saying he wants to take an international job. Well, we'll talk about that if there's time. I'm sure there will be. But let's start off with a story from Fabrizio Romano, actually. Looks like Arsenal are locked in on Sesko. Let us know your thoughts on that. Not just Arsenal fans, but other fans as well. Is Sesko the guy that's going to make Arsenal win the title next year? The honest answer is I can see it, but it's probably not where I thought they were going to go. For me, I felt a Gyokeres, an Osimhen. I mean, if you could get a Lewandowski, somebody a little bit more experienced, where I think Sesko's obviously a little bit less experienced. Could be a bit more pressure on a younger player, but you've got to be fair. You've got to back your manager. I said this about Man United and Bruno. I don't know what people think about Man United keeping Bruno on this channel, by the way. It's been much discussed on the United stand. If you're not a United fan, let us know. Should Man United have cashed in on Bruno for £100 million in the comments? Let us know and who you support. But with Sesko and with Bruno, Amorim wanted to keep Bruno. Man United have kept Bruno. You've got to back the manager, and if the manager gets it wrong, they ultimately pay the price. Arteta wanted Sesko in January. He didn't get him. Maybe the new director of football, Bert, has come in and said, I want somebody else. But they look like they're locked in on Sesko. So Fabrizio Romano saying that Arsenal are the only club in concrete talks with Sesko. Liverpool and Man United apparently monitoring it. But Arsenal looking like that's their striker. Let us know your thoughts on that. Also, Rodrygo is apparently going to leave Real Madrid again now. He was, he wasn't, he is. That's where we're at now. Arsenal been linked in by Sky Sports, saying that Rodrygo, Nico Williams, Morgan Rogers and Leroy Sané all featuring on Arsenal's transfer list. Now, we were talking about this yesterday. Liverpool obviously have done a lot of business. Frimpong, they're working on Wirtz. We'd expect that to happen. Another update from Fabrizio Romano saying with Kerkez, it will happen. Patience, it will happen. They're also linked to another forward as well, Ekatike. We spoke maybe about an Anthony Gordon shock move. I think Liverpool will go for another attacker. So you have 4 really good signings for Liverpool there. An attacker, Wirtz, Frimpong, Kerkez. Exciting for the title holders. Remember, they blitzed the start of the Champions League last year as well. Maybe ran out a bit of energy when they came up against PSG, but that's what they'll be looking to be, strong again next year. But Arsenal, who've started the window a little bit slow, it's still only the 6th of June, and Arsenal and Liverpool don't need to have major rebuilds like some clubs. So it's about adding quality. If Arsenal get that striker in, as we mentioned, but they also bring in Zubimendi, which still looks like it will happen, I think, and then a wide player of the quality of a Rodrygo or a Nico Williams, even a Morgan Rogers. I'm not so sure about Sané. This is really exciting for Arsenal fans, but it's really exciting for the Premier League. What I like about the early stages of this Premier League transfer window so far is that, yeah, you've got the money in Saudi, and Real Madrid are always going to be an appeal. That youngster from Argentina, Mastantano, who that some Premier League clubs thought they were getting, and then it was PSG, and it'll ultimately be Real Madrid. Surprise, surprise. But Real Madrid can do what they want. They can't compete with the vast appeal of the Premier League and the vast number of quality teams we've got trying to win this league. And you look at Arsenal and what they could be adding, and you look at Liverpool and what they're adding, and it's exciting for the Premier League. And also, you will have other clubs doing stuff as well. Chelsea's, Newcastle's, Man City, So I think it's really exciting for the Premier League. And, I mean, look, Arsenal, we know they're going to get a striker, but if they add in, I mean, are we sleeping on that point a little bit? I think Zubimendi's pure quality, but if they add in a Nico Williams or a Rodrygo, I mean, that's improvement again. So I think, look, Arsenal got to win the league next year. I would say that as somebody that's been a big advocate about Arteta, but they've got to win the league next year. And they're the sort of signings they want to make. And obviously with the new director of football, he wants to make those signings and make that impact. So I'd be excited about that. Who would you rather go for? Rodrygo, Nico Williams, Morgan Rogers, Leroy Sané? I'd be over the moon with Nico Williams or Rodrygo if I was an Arsenal fan. I think they're both very, very talented players. Anyway, we move on. Mentioned Liverpool there. Obviously, Kerkez looks like that's going to happen. No issues with that at all. And obviously, Frimpong's already been done. I think that it's it's interesting what other clubs are going to do. Chelsea have been linked with the Dortmund winger, Bino Gittins, who is actually English, out in Dortmund. Another younger player for Chelsea. I've spoken to a couple of people around Chelsea in recent months, and I do get the feeling that there's not a lot of confidence that Chelsea are going to be competing with Arsenal and Liverpool anytime soon. The model is very much about building, a young team, and that young team will grow together and become a work of dominance in maybe 2 or 3 years. I don't know. I've never really seen that be done before. I think in some ways Man United were looking at that strategy, and I don't know that works, because can you hold on to these players like Enzo Fernandez, Cole Palmer in a year or so when bigger clubs might look at them? But I do still think that Chelsea need a bit of experience in there, and I think it's going to be very interesting to see. Newcastle seem to be a bit like a rabbit in the headlights at the moment. I did want to just focus on some other clubs and get your thoughts on it. Newcastle just seem a little bit like you get the Champions League, you have a good season, and the most important thing for Newcastle is to be back in the Champions League this time next year. Well, probably not going to win it, so you've got to put yourself in the top 4 or 5 again. I felt Mbeumo would be perfect for them, but Man United still obviously have that appeal, thankfully. Where else do Newcastle go? Like, I think they need 3, 4 really good players going into that club, and I'm sure Guehi from Crystal Palace will be a target, but they feel like they're going to get swamped again with games and drop out the top 5 if they don't utilise a good transfer window. Aston Villa, again, look, what are they going to do? They missed out on Champions League football. Can they go again? Manchester City, of course, look, we have to wait and see what happens with the court case. I think interestingly, though, with Man City, I did say I'd mention about Pep Guardiola and an international job. He was speaking about that, obviously committing himself to Manchester City. I thought he would leave this summer, by the way. I think the plan was to go. But he's saying that this will be his last club job, and that if an international job came up, he would like to manage in the World Cup or a Euros or a Copa America. So obviously that may be the next step for Pep. But it's hard to judge what Man City will do next season. I mean, I think De Bruyne will be a big player that they will miss. We've seen this season that Haaland can be kept quiet. Obviously, they're looking at another set of young, new players. I still think they've got the new players from January to settle in, people like Mamouche. So I don't see Man City there next year. I think it's a new Man City. And the interesting thing with Man City, regardless of the case, will be, can Pep rebuild a team in the way that Sir Alex Ferguson used to rebuild a team? And I'm not so sure. I think Liverpool and Arsenal, to me, look miles ahead at the moment, and the transfer window has been, very much led by those two at the moment. And I think that it's going to be exciting to see just what other clubs try and do, because I'm not putting my side United in the top 4, but we're doing okay at the moment. After Liverpool and Arsenal, we're doing okay for where we are. I mean, look at Spurs. We mentioned them yesterday with Ange. Look at Spurs, like £4 million to sack him apparently. Basically, he's sacked. I don't know what they're waiting for. And if they keep him, they're just echoing what Man United did. It's still early in the window, but I think there's a lot of clubs that would need to do a lot. Liverpool and Arsenal just need to add little bits. But I think your Chelseas, your Manchester Uniteds, your Tottenhams, your Villas, your Newcastles, and I feel like I'm missing somebody out somewhere. There's considerable work that needs to be done. And at the moment, some of them just seem to be a little bit stalling. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. But what I will say is, remember, Arsenal also signed Gabriel to another contract. I think that's it's a bit of a club-specific thing, and even as an Arsenal fan, you might be like, well, it's a current player, but that's still a really good signing to keep him, because I think he was arguably, up until the injury, one of your better players. So things looking good for Arsenal. Rodrygo, Nico Williams would be incredible signings. And it looks like you're locked in on Sesko. So let me know your thoughts on that one. Get your comments in below. Smash a like on the video. I will speak to you on the next one. Thanks everyone for watching.